Listen to me when I tell you there's something cooking in Brooklyn. That's 17 wins in 19 games for the Nets after pulling through against the Pelicans 108-102 last night. So let's talk Brooklyn basketball with Doug Nori of the Locked On Nets podcast. Look, people are calling it an ugly win. I hate when people call things an ugly win. KD had a quiet 33 points. He struggled from the field. Kyrie had 19 on 7 of 22 shooting. The Stars struggled, but they did pull out the win. What's something you learned about this team last night, Doug?
Well, W's are W's. So at the end of the year, no one's going to look back. No one's going to look back and say, well, that win counted for less than it did at the beginning of the season. So I don't think from that standpoint, there's like anything to worry about. In terms of what to actually learn, I think one of the big things to learn is that they can win games when the Stars do struggle. Because I think while that's become sort of the talking point today is that, they weren't efficient and their efficiency numbers this season are bananas. But when they're not even efficient, it actually gets underrated that the defense allowed 38 points to the Pelicans in the second half of this game. So they did not have to be efficient because the defense was completely elite. And if you're going to have elite defense on top of super efficient scoring, even when that scoring isn't as efficient, you just are going to walk out, on the road with W's. So I think that that's something that the Nets and the fan base too can really lean into. The idea is that while most times the story is going to be about KD, Kyrie, what they did, what they didn't do, if you're just going to allow another team 38 points, then you're just going to win a lot of games. In the second and a half, you're just going to end up winning a lot of games. So I think there's a couple other takeaways, but that was the major one for me, which has somehow kind of gotten underrated after this win.
You're talking about defense. You're talking about underrated. Nick Claxton has 3 or more blocks in 5 straight games. People question this man if he could be a full-time starter this year. So this dude has been balling. How much of an impact has he had for this team this season?
It's been ridiculous. I'm happy to have a ton of receipts on this one from early in the season, too, because this one I'm cashing a lot of this in recently because when there was strife among folks who wanted to bring in really anybody off the street to replace Nick Claxton, we really stood strong and said, no, he actually does a lot of the, if not all the things that the Nets really need him to do. And actually, we're getting to a point now where it's not just within Brooklyn land that folks are turning the tide in terms of how they talk about him. If you wake up this morning, in most markets, he's 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year odds right now, behind only Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brook Lopez. Nick Claxton is 3rd. That was unheard of even a month ago. So I think for him, it's now just becoming a story outside of Brooklyn, which is what he brings to the game. Elite switching defense. He's finishing around the rim really nicely. The blocks, obviously, he's behind. It's really him and Brook Lopez are in a class by themselves this season in terms of overall blocks. And now, finally, kind of everyone is coming around to an idea that I think a lot of people that watched it pretty closely early on understood, which is while it doesn't, he doesn't shoot threes and he has some holes in his game, for what the Nets need him to do, he's actually doing all of those things good/great. And, if he's going to sit here in the Defensive Player of the Year odds, which he totally deserves, by the way, it's not just a Johnny-come-lately kind of thing. It's actually a testament to how good he is that he's not even a name like those other guys, I think, and he sits this high. I think actually there's still kind of room for upside on his game.
Going from being a local rapper to getting national recognition. I love it. All right. So that win pulled the Nets to 26-13 in a game within the league leading Celtics. So this team keeps talking about growth. We're growing. So in order for them to keep winning and to keep growing, they need to...
Okay, so what do they need to do to keep winning? I think people are going to want them to make some kind of upgraded trade. I actually don't know if their powder is dry enough to be able to do something like that with the assets they have left following the Harden deal. They have some, not tons. I think a few things actually can just happen on the team as it currently stands that will make them look even better. They can get just regression on the elite 3-point shooting from guys like Harris and Curry, and actually, frankly, even KD and Kyrie, who aren't even shooting at their career levels from 3 this season. So within their own roster, there are meaningful upgrades to just do what they've done in the past, which is shoot, above where they are currently sit. The other thing that probably needs to happen for this team, and this is actually a further down the line problem, but it's something that they will encounter, I think, is that at some point, and it will probably be in the playoffs, the fact that Claxton and Simmons can't really shoot free throws is going to be an issue. And because now teams aren't really attacking that weakness, it's the regular season. You don't need to. There's lots of different reasons why they don't really need to do it. The part where these guys, the free throw shooting for both of them is completely subpar, and they could be on the court together in high leverage, meaningful moments in the playoffs. That is the place where I think Nets fans probably need to hold a microscope and hope to see maybe some moderate improvement from those two parts of their game, because their on the court stuff for Claxton and Simmons this season is awesome. It's that pairing is clearly working. I think they're I had it in front of me. Yeah, they're +9 in net rating, 111 defensive rating. The offense has been awesome. It's really worked. But in the playoffs, I do think there's going to be some kind of reckoning here. And it's similar to what we saw with Claxton in the playoffs last year, where he just missed every free throw in the Celtics series. And Simmons, obviously, those details are highly publicized and how bad it went for him in Philly. That's where I think the biggest improvement can come. If they can even become moderate free throw shooters, and I actually don't think the team has a lot of holes. I just think that is a pretty big hole, and it's really not one that people are talking about.
He's getting national acknowledgement now. Hack-a-clacks could be a thing, and I'm trademark. You got receipts, but I'm trademarking that one. I want that receipt. Hack-a-clacks. Doug, thanks for joining us, my man, and Happy New Year for one more day.
There we go. Still time to do it. Take it easy. Thanks a lot.